Hi, I'm Erin, co-founder of Truly Aligned Wealth Management and Mama to Be, and I've been putting together a list of things that I'm doing right now while pregnant to share with you. Some of these strategies no one really tells you about, like how I'm using our HSA to build wealth for the future by investing now, and then reimbursing myself many years later, turning today's medical expenses into tomorrow's tax-free cash flow. Okay, so I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The bad news is that having a baby in the United States is expensive. The average cost of giving birth is now over $18,000. And that's before you factor in your lost income, childcare, and everything you're planning to buy to prepare for your baby. The good news, though, is that there are some really smart ways to plan for it. Things that most people don't even realize that they can do, and these things can save you thousands and set your family up for long-term success. So if you're expecting or planning to start a family, this is how you can prepare like a financial planner, not just a parent. So one of the most valuable things I'm doing while pregnant, and honestly, one of the biggest strategies I think more people need to know about, has to do with my HSA. I mentioned this earlier, but let me break down exactly how it works because this is where the magic really happens. If you have an HSA, this is a health savings account, you probably already know that you can use it for your medical expenses, right? That would be doctor visits, ultrasounds, prescriptions, that kind of thing. But what most people don't know is that there's no time limit on when you have to reimburse yourself for those expenses. So what I'm doing is I'm paying out of pocket for every single thing that qualifies. All my prenatal appointments, lab work, ultrasounds, the chiropractor, prenatal vitamins, and I'm keeping every single receipt. So I have a folder with all of these receipts labeled by date, what it was for, because later in life, maybe 10, 20 years from now, I can reimburse myself for these expenses and take that money out of my HSA tax free. And that's the part that blows a lot of people's minds because if you think about it, I'm getting this triple tax advantage, right? The money went in pre tax, it's growing invested tax free, and then when I take it out for reimbursement, still tax free. Meanwhile, over the next few decades, my money is going to continue compounding. So instead of spending my HSA balance down now, I'm investing those dollars and letting it grow. It's a future self reimbursement plan. So I look at it almost like a stealth retirement account. Because in retirement, you can have these decades worth of documented receipts and take tax free withdrawals for your cash flow. And that can make a huge difference later in life when you're living off of your portfolio or Social Security. And if you are enjoying this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It really helps our channel grow and it lets me know that you want to see more videos like this one. The second thing I'm doing, and this one was a big one for us, was reevaluating our health insurance once we knew we were expecting. And this is something I encourage everyone to do, especially during open enrollment season, which is usually in November. So if you're planning to get pregnant, you already are, it's very important to look at what's available to you during this time. Because pregnancy is really one of those things that you can plan financially around once you know it's happening. But your healthcare coverage can make or break how expensive that year is going to be for you. So for us, I decided to switch from a high deductible plan to a zero deductible plan with copays. I just wanted that clarity. I wanted to know exactly what my cost would be for each visit, for every ultrasound, instead of wondering where I was on our deductible. And having that predictable copay took away so much stress for me. Now, because my husband is healthy, he doesn't have many medical expenses, he stayed on the high deductible plan. And that allowed us to keep contributing to our HSA, which, as I mentioned, is a really valuable from a long-term planning standpoint. So together, we're kind of optimizing both ends of the spectrum. I have the plan that makes the most sense for a high care year, and he's still taking advantage of the HSA benefits. And I think that's something a lot of couples don't realize is that if both partners are employed, you have your own health insurance options through work. You can be on different plans. If you are in open enrollment right now, or if you're already pregnant and outside of that window, it's really important and worth reviewing your benefits. Look at your deductible, your out-of-pocket maximum, how maternity care is covered, and what hospitals are in network for you. Even just talking to your HR or insurance broker and getting clarity on what's covered and what isn't can make such a huge difference. Because when you're going into delivery, you don't want to be guessing about the bill. You want to know exactly what to expect and to have a plan going into it. The third thing I made sure to review was my disability coverage. Pregnancy is one of those seasons where you know your body is going through major changes. And it just makes sense to double check that your income would be protected if anything unexpected came up. Because, while most pregnancies do go smoothly, there can always be complications or the recovery period could be longer than expected. And you want to know that your income is protected if that happens. For me, that meant checking both my employer's disability policy and my private policy to make sure that they actually reflect my current income. A lot of people have policies that were set up many years ago. Maybe your income has grown, but the coverage hasn't been updated to match that. So I wanted to make sure that if I needed to take an extended time off for recovery or complications, the benefit would actually replace enough of my income to cover our expenses. Some states like California actually offer state-paid disability, which can be very helpful, but a lot of states don't. And employer plans can vary widely. Most employer plans only cover about 60% of your income. So it's worth reading the fine print now, not when you're already in the hospital. And if you are self-employed or you don't have benefits through work, you can look at a private disability plan or even supplement with a weaker employer plan with private coverage to match that 100% of your income. It's one of those things that you hope you never need, but if something goes sideways, you'll be so glad you thought about it ahead of time. Something else I've been thinking about is timing our medical expenses around our deductible. So once you hit your deductible for the year, your insurance often covers nearly everything after that. So if you are on that higher deductible plan and you know that you'll be meeting that deductible because of your pregnancy or your delivery costs, it can actually make sense to schedule other procedures or appointments. Maybe things you've been putting off, like physical therapy, lab work, specialist visits. Have them happen in the same year while you know things are already covered. For me, I'm thinking about postpartum pelvic floor therapy because once the deductible is met, the extra care is basically discounted by thousands of dollars. And again, that's one of those subtle strategies that can really add up over time, especially when you're managing cash flow in a very high expense year. And then the last thing, this one's a little bit more personal, but it's just as important. It's sitting down with my husband and mapping out all the upcoming costs we want to plan for. It's not just the obvious ones like the hospital or the crib or the stroller, but the ones that are meaningful. So I made a list of all the things I want to do to celebrate this time in our lives. Maternity photos, a baby shower, an international getaway before the baby comes. These aren't needs, but they do matter to me, and they're part of how I want to experience this chapter in life. So I wrote them all down along with what each thing is going to cost, and then we created a baby celebration fund. That way, when these events come up, we're not feeling stressed out. We're not swiping a card and dealing with it later. We've planned for it. It's intentional. And that's at the heart of really what financial alignment looks like for me. It's not about cutting back on joy or living like a minimalistic monk. It's about being so clear and so proactive that when you do spend money, it feels good. It feels like alignment, not anxiety. So whether it's saving receipts for your future HSA reimbursements, optimizing your insurance, checking your disability coverage, or setting aside money for the things that make this season special, it's all part of the same theme. It's all about being intentional. Pregnancy is such a transformative time, and yes, it's emotional and beautiful, but it's also the perfect opportunity to get your financial systems in order so that you can enjoy it fully and not worry about logistics later. So those are the biggest financial moves I'm making while pregnant to prepare for our baby and preserve our family's future. If you are expecting or just starting to think about growing your family and want help creating a financial plan that supports your goals, you can book a free consultation with us at Truly Aligned Wealth Management. We'll include a link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay aligned.